Hello, today I'm going to be reading chapter 9 through 11 of Out of Touch, Out of Time, Ray X Female Listener. Let's get into it. Chapter 9. Everyone is escaping. That's final. This was a really good plan, Norman, Emma said with a wide smile as she untied the tablecloths from around her wrists. Using tablecloths as ropes, you added with a smile too. I'm just glad Ray let you outside instead of spending a few more hours in the infirmary, said Emma. Yeah, I had to tell him 14 times that I was feeling better before he let me outside, you say with an eye roll. Emma took all the tablecloths and threw them into the hole in the tall tree so Mom or none of the other children would find them. We can use these to get over the wall when the time's right, Emma said, and Norman nodded. Emma jumped down from the tree and stood next to Norman. All right, next challenge is the tracking devices. You finish. Both Emma and Norman nod in agreement. And to make a plan to get everyone out, Emma finished. Hey, Norman, Emma, I know I said this already, but I really think we should tell Ray. Norman put a hand on his chin. I was thinking the same thing. Ray most likely will not panic because of his knowledge, and he's good with machines. I'm sure he can help us out, but... But what? Emma asked, confused. Norman looked at Emma, then you. How about I talk to Ray myself? Norman says. What? Why? You ask. Why don't you two head back and... Why? A familiar voice asked through the bushes. You, Emma, and Norman were surprised as Ray walked through the bushes to them with a book in his hand. Ray! Emma said nervously. Yo. Ray replied, holding a hand up and waving. Sorry I followed you guys here, but it's been bugging me for a while, so I thought I should ask you about it. Ever since you three came back from the gate, you guys looked traumatized. Plus, Yasmin was going to tell me something about Connie, and I felt curious. Ray said, looking at the trio. Emma and Norman glared at you. You already told him? Emma shouted. No, I was going to, but... She didn't. Ray interrupted, giving a quick glance at Yasmin. I just thought I should ask you about it, Ray said, handing his book to you. He put his arms around the trio, pulling them closer, causing your face to turn red. Now, what happened at the gate that night? You brought Little Bunny to Connie. You said you didn't make it, but returned without Little Bunny or Yasmin's drawing. He pulled them closer. Your perspective, Emma said. Something happened, so come on, spill it. All right, we'll tell you, Emma said, being squeezed by him. He let go and took his book back, waiting for them to talk. Demons? A farm? And Mom's the villain? Ray repeated the information he was just given. Isn't that really bad? He catches on fast, Emma said, shocked. So what you're all saying is we're being taken care of so preciously to become demon food? He said while touching the number ID on the side of his neck. I'm surprised you're believing us so easily, you asked the boy. Well, of course I do. Norman wouldn't make up such unbelievable, stupid lies. He's not you or Emma. Ray smirked, and you just nudged his arm and furrowed your brows. So, if we're really going to escape, we're going to have a couple issues. First, all the number of kids. We need to narrow it down to those who can make it out, and then... Wait, Emma cuts in. We want to escape with everyone. Lend us your strength, Ray. The girl pleaded, hugging your arm. Ray sighed. You're kidding, right? There's 38 of us, and the majority are under the age of 6. There's Mom, demons, and tracking devices. These things already make escaping difficult, but bringing everyone? I know, but it's still not impossible. No, Emma, it is impossible. You haven't noticed, have you? He asked the orange-haired girl. Emma looked confused. Ray, wait, Norman blurted out, putting his hand up. Oh, now I see why you wanted to talk to me alone. You have to be blunt about these sort of things, Emma. What things? It's not going to work with all of us leaving. It won't be enough. What do you mean by that? You ask, walking up closer to Ray. We have no clue what the outside world is like. We know there's a place that is getting shipped, and because this is a farm and there's buyers, that should give you an idea. What waits beyond the gate is a demon world. There's no place for humans out there, Ray said. You took a deep breath. The raven-haired boy put a hand on your shoulder. It's impossible if we take everyone. We will all die, he said bluntly. We should leave them behind. It's the best option. No way, you said, staring into his eyes. Emma walked up next to you. Even if it's impossible, we want to escape with everyone. We can work it out, Emma says with confidence. What? Ray shouted at the girl. No one else here will die. Connie will be the last they take, Emma said, looking at you, then at Ray. Even if there isn't a place for humans, let's carve the way ourselves. We can do it all together. We can change the world, you said with a smile, taking Ray's hand in both of yours. He just stared at the girl in shock. I understand now, Ray. If this is the sort of prison break we have to make, then so be it. Emma and I aren't giving up on this. We have decided, you say with determination. So Ray, you're the one who's giving up. So stop jabbering and help us escape, Emma determined. He lets go of your hands, and then Norman starts laughing. We will escape with everyone, no matter what, or else I won't do it. I won't, Emma screeched, throwing her hands in the air, throwing a small temper tantrum, while you started giggling at Emma's actions. Do something about that idiot. She's unreasonable. Emma was getting on Ray's last nerves. I know, right? But I'm glad she's back to her old self, Norman said, walking up to Ray. Emma took your hand, running over to the wall to figure out how you were going to escape again. Can you just stop them? Or you three are going to die. But you knew that from the start, didn't you? Ray stated. Yasmin and Emma were crying, Norman explained, but Ray's face softened slightly into a worried expression. That night, I thought those two were crying because they were scared of dying, but in reality, they were scared of their family dying. Isn't that amazing? To be able to think of others in such a terrible situation, Norman asked Ray. But it's not the right thing. It's like a boat made out of mud. But I mean, if it's just the four of us, we can escape. You're right. You shouldn't be ashamed, but don't change your mind because of your emotions, Ray argued. Norman just smiled at Ray. No, but it's not that, Ray. I also wanted to make a boat out of mud. What? Why? You're supposed to be the cool-headed one in this situation. Ray pulled Norman closer by his collar. Because I love Emma. I want her to always be smiling. And I know you want the same for Yasmin. I've seen the way you look at her, Ray, Norman said with a smile. Ray let Norman go, pushing him back. You're crazy, said Ray. And what if Emma dies because of this? Ray asked Norman. I won't let her die. Besides, I've always accomplished what I've set out to do. And if you bake mud, you'll be able to make a vase, Norman added. Emma and you walked up to the boys. Ray, please just help us. I know you're gonna say it's impossible, but... You started. You are crazy, you know that? Ray said, looking at you, who just smiled at him. Maybe me, Emma, and Yasmin have gone insane. Maybe we've completely lost it. But you can't let us do this on our own, right? Norman asked the boy in front of him. Damn it. What kind of friend would I be if I did? He asked. Norman smiled at the boy, knowing they finally got Ray on their team to help them out. Ray just ruffled your hair. Hey, you say, trying to fix your hair. By the way, are you feeling better? Any temperature? I mean, I can always make you more soup if you want. He asked, putting his palm on your forehead to check your temperature. Ray, I'm fine. Suddenly, the bell went off, signaling free time was over. Hey guys, shouldn't we have some more free time left? Emma asked, confused, as the four made their way back to the house. Chapter 10. Sister Crone. After the four made it back to the house, they entered the dinner hall, where all the commotion was coming from. It was Mom. She was holding a small baby wrapped in a blanket in her arms. Also standing next to her was another woman, who held a suitcase in her hands. Ray, Emma, Norman, and Yasmin stood there in shock, looking at the new faces who had entered the house. All right. Settle down, everyone. Let me introduce her," Mom said softly to the children, who were in awe looking at the new baby. "This is your new little sister, Carol," Emma said, showing off the little girl to everyone. She had light orange hair, quite like Emma's. She also had light blue eyes, and not to mention, she was adorable. "And this is Sister Crone. She is here to help me look after all of you," Mom finished as everyone brought their attention to the tall woman. "Another adult?" Emma asked as she grew pale. "Another enemy," you said, also growing terrified. Ray noticed your worried expression and took your hand in his. Soon after, you started to relax a bit more. Norman nudged Emma and you to signal them to keep smiling, and you did so. "I will be living with all of you starting today. It's lovely to meet all of you," Sister Crone announced with an evil smile. "Please use this room." Mom guided Sister Crone to an empty room upstairs. Emma, you, Norman, and Ray all stood in the middle of the staircase, keeping a close eye on the pair. "You will be staying in this bedroom." "Understood, thank you," Sister Crone replied. "She's settling down in a bad spot," Ray said quietly enough so Mom and Crone wouldn't hear them. You nodded, keeping an eye on the two. "Yeah, right between both of the kids' bedrooms," you said, growing nervous at the situation again. Mom and Crone looked between them and revealed the four standing at the staircase. They all stared and smiled at the two women, well, apart from Ray. Every child from Gracefield House was busy playing games with one another and with their new sister Carol, and of course Crone. Every child except for the four oldest. "I was so concerned about the tracking devices, I didn't even think about a new enemy entering the house," Norman admitted, staring at the floor. "Actually, we should be happy about this," Ray said, standing behind the three. "Be happy?" Emma asked. "Think about it. Carol and Sister Crone are two new pieces of information." "I see," Norman muttered. "First of all, where did those two come from?" Ray asked. "Well, I suppose Carol is Connie's replacement," you said quietly, not wanting to think about poor Connie. "They are replacing the merchandise," Norman added. "If this is a farm, there must be a site where the merchandise gets replenished," you said, staring at the ground. "So we all came from that place originally?" Emma asked. "Probably. Sister Crone must have came from there too," Ray added. "There might be other farms here, just like Gracefield, so the adults will obey the demons under the demons' control from the birth, or were captured and brought here," Norman asked. "No matter what the situation is, we have to escape with everyone, no matter what," you said, thinking about Carol and all the children's futures. "Oh, and about the tracking devices. I searched all over my body, and there's no trace of anything," Emma explained as she touched her chest. "And nothing like it in our clothes or shoes," Norman added. "Based on human technology, it probably uses radio waves, but that requires batteries that would last over 10 years. That kind of technology wouldn't exist in 2015, Ray said. "Meaning?" Emma asked, looking at Ray. "It would be difficult to make a device to break them and locate them. We might as well give up if the demons have made that sort of technology," Ray acknowledged. Norman put a hand on his chin. We got to think at the enemy's point of view. What would be a good place to implant tracker devices on humans? Norman asked himself out loud. It was silent for a few seconds, until a light bulb came on in your head. Carol! You say loudly, with a sparkle in your eyes. You're right! She must have one recently implanted, so it should be easy to find, Emma said with confidence. Ray smiled at you and put an arm around your shoulder. Good idea, he said with a smile, and Norman nodded. Meanwhile, in Mom's room, Sister Crone and Mom were having a talk. Thank you so very much for the opportunity to return to this side, Sister Crone said, standing in front of Isabella. I simply made a request for an assistant. It's not like I asked for you specifically, Mom answered coldly. I have heard of many of your achievements, Crone added, trying to keep the conversation light. The youngest to be selected as mom and caretaker. You have raised the grade of merchandise and are trusted with special products. I'm honored to work with someone who I admire, Crone said with a smile. Lip service is not necessary. Quit the small talk and let's get talking about work instead, Isabella answered, showing no emotion towards the young woman. Isabella opened a drawer under her desk, revealing a file of papers. Here are the information files on all my adorable children. Memorize all the papers. It should be easier than the daily tests. Crone smiled creepily, walking over to the desk and flicking through the papers. Just out of pure curiosity, why did you call for an assistant? They found out the secret. Crone's eyes widened and she took a quick breath. They also saw the product and the truck. Isabella finished. Crone's mind was starting to race. Well, according to the Pursuit, we should ship those children out immediately and then... Stop right there, Isabella said, holding up a hand. Crone stopped what she was doing and looked at Isabella. Mom, Isabella, walked up to Crone and grabbed her face. It's all right. I have a good idea on which of the children it was. Most likely the 3 oldest. All we have to do is make sure they don't escape before shipment. Besides, it will be beneficial for the plant. So, you aren't reporting it? Crone asked, confused. No, not at all. I will take care of the targets myself. And Crone? You are just a mere sister. Isabella finished, letting go of Crone's face. Isabella put the files back in the dresser and walked to the door. I am the mom of this house. You are the assistant. She opened the door for her leave. Yes, Isabella, Crone said as she left. All the kids love her, Norman said. Emma nodded, glancing back at Sister Crone. Exactly. So how are we supposed to overcome 2 adults who everyone adores so much? Ray asked, annoyed. You're right, Emma said. You, Ray, Norman, and Emma went back to cleaning. Emma brushed the floor with a broom while Norman and Ray washed the dishes, and you dried them with a cloth. A big problem that factors is the reports to the demons. When we escape from the house, those demons will come straight after us, Norman said, washing the plates after dinner, handing it to Ray, who handed it to you to dry. The only way we can stop that is if Mom and Crone would be. Ray started hitting a fork against a plate to signal them to stop talking. A presence was sensed behind the 3. They looked behind them to see Sister Crone creepily smiling at them. Ray stood in front of you, slightly knowing that you'd be scared of Sister Crone. I didn't even hear her walk up to us, you whispered to Ray. Ray, Norman, and Yasmin. Am I right? Sister Crone asked, staring at the 3. Yes, Norman said with a smile, trying not to break. I have heard you 3 get perfect scores on your daily test, along with Emma, Crone added. Yeah, Ray said bluntly. And I think a little bird told me that Yasmin is very good at drawing and cooking. It's an honor to meet you, Crone said, moving closer to you. You said, feeling very nervous. Leave her alone. Can't you not see that she's obviously uncomfortable? Ray said, annoyed at Crone's actions. Crone was slightly surprised by Ray's words, but she just smiled once more. I apologize, Yasmin. Hopefully we can be best friends, she finished, walking off and going to play with some of the younger children. Thanks for saving me, Ray, you say, letting out a deep breath. Do you think she heard us? Ray asked to the pair. No, I don't think so, Norman said. I fear she's trying to get us to break. She's probably suspecting us because we're the oldest, Norman finished. And how did she know those things about us? You asked the boy. From Mom, Ray said. She's definitely closing in on us. We have to watch our steps. All right, you said, before continuing to dry some of the silverware. Okay, I'm gonna stop there for right now. I was supposed to get this out yesterday, but I read the first chapter and like half of the second one, and I got really tired, so I took a nap, and I just ended up falling asleep. I might come out with another chapter today as well, but that's not going to be promised. Yeah, I hope you enjoyed nonetheless. Stay tuned for the next chapter. Love you all. Have a good night, day, evening, whatever. Goodbye.